I don't know why all of a sudden I got so nervous, but it's probably because I'm sharing something personal today, and I guess I haven't shared something personal with all of you since my testimony, but, so yeah, anyways, if I were to put a title on this 2-minute challenge, I feel like I put a title on everyone, so I have to continue to do that every time I do this. I would call it the reversal, and you'll see why, but I would call this 2-minute challenge the reversal. So, yeah, so I watched a lot of, shout out to Bethel for showing me this pastor named JP, because this is what inspired this 2-minute challenge. You need to download his podcast because he's amazing. But, alright, so this is the personal thing. So, my whole entire life, since maybe like I could have my own kind of thoughts, like maybe when I was 6 or 7 or 8, I got thoughts engraved in my head through society and, you know, through other childhood events, that my purpose on this planet was to please people, and in particular to please men. And so like that was engraved in my head, that my purpose on this planet was solely to please other people. And so everything I did, and that idea stayed with me from elementary to junior high, right into high school and then into university, and it never got better. It just kind of grew and grew and grew, and it's because society kept on feeding to me like, yeah, you know, the purpose in your life is to please men, and that's what you have to do. So, you know, in high school and even in university, if I didn't dress a certain way, or if I didn't say a certain thing or act in a certain way that pleased other people, I'd be like, what am I doing wrong? Like, why isn't this working, you know? And if it didn't please, if I didn't get the attention that I wanted, or that I thought I would get, I would think that there's something wrong with me. Like, there must be something wrong with me if they're not paying attention to me. So what am I gonna do, right? And so even in university, a few of you know of my past, like, I partied like Thursday, Friday, Saturday. And it was because, you know, society told me when you turn 18, that's what you do. You just go and you start drinking and you party and you just party, right? And so I party and, you know, if someone next to me is drinking, oh, I gotta drink, you know, I gotta take a shot, you know. And then, you know, I'd notice like, oh, like, why is this guy buying her a shot and not me? And like, I started comparing myself with other people. And it's not until recently that I've gone over this idea, but it's taking, and even till today sometimes, I feel like my purpose is to please men. And, but like, I've just realized, like, very recently, maybe like a couple months ago, and I had a meeting with Gifty, and that day was what made me realize that that has been my thought process my entire life, was to please men. And that's really sad when I hear that. And so, what I'm first gonna say is that society did not die for you. God did. And society did not create who you are. God did. And society doesn't dictate where you go after this life, right? God does. And so I keep on telling myself, you know, that every day. And I wish that during all those years, someone would have came up to me and said, how dare you? How dare you let other sinners tell you who you are? Like, how dare you let imperfect people tell you that what's wrong with you? Or how dare you let society, you know, how dare you let these people speak these things onto your life? You know, how dare I give society the power and the control over my life, right? And then when I started, you know, reading my Bible and coming to church, I realized a perfect, flawless human being made me exactly the way I am. He made me exactly the way I am, from head to toe, to my curly hair, to my bushy eyebrows, to my, you know, hairy arms, to my, you know, to the way that I dress, to the way that I talk, to the way that I laugh. He made every single thing. And God's perfect creation doesn't need any nips or tucks or, you know, repairs or fixes. Don't think, you know, God procrastinates like us, so we forgot to include something in our bodies, or forgot to include something in our personalities, or messed up our creation. Nah, it was a perfect final project. We are a perfect final project. We are finalized in the way that we are, right? And so, and what gave me some motivation too is that there's a lot of people in the Bible that if they weren't who they were, we wouldn't see half the miracles done. If they didn't follow Christ and trust in him and trust that this is the way that he created them, we wouldn't have half the stories or half the miracles in the Bible. And it's because they chose to be who they are against what everyone else was telling them to be. And today's society tells you to be a lot of things, and people tell you to be a lot of things. But again, they don't dictate where you go after this life, and God does. And they didn't create you, they didn't die for you, God did, right? And he made you in his image, and he said, and he made man and woman, it says, and he saw that it was good. You know what I mean? He saw that it was good, he saw that you were good, and he loves you. And how dare you tell God that he made a mistake? You know what I mean? How dare you tell a perfect human being who created the universe that he made a mistake? You know, it's like me going to Steve Jobs and saying, you know, this is not the way an iPhone was supposed to be made. Like, I don't know anything about technology or iPhones and how that's even made. So why would I go to the expert, to the creator, and say, actually, I'm totally inexperienced, I know nothing about this, but I think you did it wrong. You know what I mean? It's like if you went up to God and said, you know, I'm imperfect and I sin, and I'm not all-knowing, I'm not all-powerful, but I really think you made me incorrectly. Or I really think you made this other person incorrectly, right? And so, yeah, and even another time too, where I realized, and this also inspired my 2-minute challenge, was I was in a philosophy class at school, right? And at school, it's not like I walk around like, hey, I'm Christian, what's up? Like, hey, I'm Christian, by the way, did you know? Like, I never really talk to people and say like, oh yeah, like I'm Christian. Like, if it comes up, I'll say it, but I'm not probably speaking it to everybody, right? And you know, in university, they tell you it's very political and you gotta just like keep your opinions to yourself, and you know, religion doesn't mix with state or whatever. And so I was in class, in this philosophy class, we're talking about the existence of God, right? And then the philosophy teacher asks, okay, so if God is all perfect and all knowing and all good and all powerful, why would he make, you know, such an imperfect world? Why would he make us imperfect? And then I was like, throughout the whole entire lecture, I was like, I'm gonna punch this guy after class. Like I want to talk to him. Like, I just want to like burst out this time and be like, you're wrong, you're stupid. Like, this is not the way you should be thinking. But I was like, Sandra, just shut up and just sit there and just like swallow your pride. And then this Christian girl puts up her hand. She's like, well, first, I'm Christian, and I just want to say that, you know, the reason that we have free will and all this imperfect stuff is happening is because, you know, like, God wanted to give us free will so that we could choose to do good things over bad things, and then we could, you know, go to the kingdom of heaven, right? And then I was like, you know what, I'm not going to hold it in anymore. So I just put it in my hand, and I was like, and then I was like, in the sassiest way, which I shouldn't have been like, I was like, first, God didn't make us imperfect. We made ourselves imperfect. It's a thing called the original sin. And then I was like, second, I was like, the reason God gave us free will is because he wanted us to freely choose to be in a relationship with him. I don't even know where this came from. I was like, true love isn't forceful or automatic. I was like, you know, he wanted us to freely choose to be in a relationship with him, so that's why he gave us free will. And I was like, and third, the reason why we bad things happen in the universe is because he gave us free will and we chose to do these bad things, right? And then the teacher, all he had to say was, that's a very good inference. And I was like, I just want to take it up and be like, that's, you know, like, yeah, it is a really good inference, you know, because it's the truth, you know? And so, like, you know, I just, in that moment, I wasn't being who I truly was, right? Like, all that time I was sitting there, like, don't say anything. I wasn't being who I was. I wasn't being a follower of Christ. I wasn't being a creation of Christ, right? I was trying to conform to everyone else sitting in the class, like, not saying anything, you know what I mean? And I wasn't being who God created me to be. God created me to be a creation of him, a follower of Christ, so that I could go out into the world and I could tell people about, you know, this guy named God. I could tell people, you know what, God loves you. I could tell people, if this is your question, this is the answer. And you know where the answers are? It's called the Bible, right? And so in that moment, I wasn't being who I was, right? And so it's called the reversal because you need to reverse everything society has ever told you. You know, you have to reverse that society has told you your purpose in your life. You know, for me, it's that I was a people pleaser, but maybe for you it's something else. Maybe the society told you have to be a doctor, or society told you, you know, you have to be that person that's always quiet, or you can't speak your opinion. No, you be what God created you to be, right? And you have to remember that there is no one on this earth that is like you. There is no one. Not one single person on this planet who is exactly like you. No matter how similar you are to another person, there is no one in this universe who is exactly like you, and that's not an accident. That is not an accident. That was on purpose. God made everyone different and unique for a purpose. And it's And you have gifts, you have talents. I don't care if you can sing or dance. It doesn't have to be like that. But you all have gifts and talents that God blessed you with so that you can go out into the world and you can share who you are. You know what I mean?